Hi, and welcome to Meet Me in the Middle. I am Kirstin Cole. I'm your host today, and I am so happy to be here with you for what I am calling our holiday gratitude episode. I think about gratitude a lot this time of the year. What is it that we should be so thankful for, right? And usually at the top of the list is our family and also our health and our friends and the wonderful experiences that we have in our life. And I also think that gratitude is a function of giving back. And it's one of those things, and it's the time of the year when we think about giving actually gets us more in return. And that's the reason why I have Jessica Rosh here this morning. Jessica is our wonderful board chair for Make-A-Wish Hudson Valley, and you are so many things. First of all, you're a mom, which I love because I'm a mom. And so we talk about that a lot. And that's a big part of giving and who we are as human beings.
Best job I've ever had.
Of course, you're a board chair. You've been involved with Make-A-Wish for 10 years now.
20.
20, 10 years as I think a board member.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but 20 years. And
volunteer.
then you have this incredible legal mind career, teaching mind career. If you would just sort of take us through what it is that you have done in your professional life that then led up and ran on parallel tracks to Make-A-Wish.
Great, sure. So I first got introduced to Make-A-Wish back in 1988 when my brother was diagnosed with leukemia and had a wish granted by Make-A-Wish Hudson Valley.
And he was how old at the time?
He was 17, turning 18. I was 15. And our oldest brother was a freshman in college, 19.
And that's especially important because your older brother ended up being a bone marrow match.
Absolutely. So my brother, who was sick, needed a bone marrow transplant. And our oldest brother was a bone marrow match, and he had a bone marrow transplant in 1989. And it affected us all in the deepest ways. And as we'll talk about, you'll see my oldest brother became an oncologist. The brother who was sick has stayed very involved in Make-A-Wish. Thank God he's doing well. And I'll tell you my story about Make-A-Wish.
And here you are in Make-A-Wish. And I feel like this is a pebble in a pond and sending out the ripples and all the ways that it can impact our lives and how it set you on this different trajectory. Although first you had to make a stop as a high flyer, high performing, achieving, career-oriented attorney. Talk about all the things that happen in a space like that, which is just incredible. And so talk a little bit about your legal career and what I call the front part. In middle life, a lot of times we look at our lives and the front part is about achieving. Mm-hmm. We're going out and we're earning these degrees and trying to nail down these jobs and achieve all of these incredible things. And so we'll talk about that part of it.
Okay, let's get started on that. So as you said, I started my career as a lawyer, and that was probably about 10 years or so after my brother, not even, less than 10 years after my brother was sick. I practiced law at a larger firm in New York City, long hours.
I mean, these are tough times. It's hard for women. You're getting married at this point in time. You may have been starting your family at this point in time.
So that was all happening around the same time. And once I had our oldest daughter, I really couldn't do it all. I couldn't be working those long hours.
Law is especially demanding at that level.
It was particularly demanding at that high level.
Right.
And so I pulled back and I wanted to spend time with our children. So in those years when our girls were young, I spent a lot of time volunteering for Make-A-Wish. I did some part-time law on a smaller scale with some friends who had their own firms. And I just kept thinking, I don't know what's next, but right now I'm really grateful that I have this opportunity to split my time between raising the kids and dabbling a little bit in
I find that women often are occupying this space, especially in those hard-charging years, the 30s and 40s. We're raising our kids. We're still working. We're trying to find a way to give back in the community. That's right. You feel like you have 25 arms and you're just giving and giving and giving and doing so much. But you were always thinking about other ways to give back with Make-A-Wish. Talk about how formative that was at 17 when you watched your brother go through this and what Make-A-Wish and that one wish did for him and how it set your entire family off on this trajectory.
Okay, so I feel like when I look back, it was a really difficult time where everything felt like it was moving so fast and everything was out of our control. My brother was diagnosed with leukemia.
This is devastating.
Out of the blue.
You're
It was
a kid and you're having to face end of life potentially.
Really frightening, terrifying things.
Yeah.
And we were fortunate to live in an area where we were able to access fantastic medical care.
Right.
And while my brother was sick and through all the clinical stuff that was really stressful and overwhelming, the surgeries and the chemo and the, bone marrow transplant and radiation, my parents and my other brother and I were trying to be as supportive as we could and help. But there was something that we just couldn't do for him. We could say everything's going to be okay and try to give him hope. But it was his battle that he was fighting.
Right.
And it was really, there were some really hard days. And then all of a sudden Make-A-Wish appeared. And two wish granters, a husband and wife, Steve and Cynthia Cohen, I still remember them, came to see him and said to him, this is what we do. We're a fairly new organization. We grant wishes to kids with life-threatening illnesses, and we'd like to know what you want. And
the Hudson Valley chapter started in 80.
Right, we're celebrating. So this year 2026 is our 40th anniversary year.
Celebrations.
So we're meeting on a really happy time for our chapter, and we have granted in those 40 years over 3,500 wishes. So my brother was one of the first wishes in 1989. So he met with his wish granters, and they said, what would you like to wish for? And he thought about it. And at the time, there wasn't, he was getting treated at Sloan Kettering. There really wasn't, we didn't have iPads and computers and all the things that kids can use now to occupy that time, which is really challenging time. And he watched this little TV, and up in the hospital room, it was the year of a presidential election. And George Bush and Michael Dukakis were running for president.
Right.
And he said, well, I'd like to meet the winner of this election. And the wish granters.
The winner?
The winner. I'd like to know. I'd like to meet whoever gets voted in as president of the United States.
I was wondering how he chose to meet with what ended up being George Bush. Yeah. I was like, why? Is he, a Republican follower? Is he just
he was just a kid who was interested
neophyte?
In politics and government. And he, as I said, that's what was on TV. And he said, I want to meet whoever wins the election. And we were fortunate that when the election was over and George Bush won, he had this connection to childhood cancer, sadly. He knew a little bit about the Make-A-Wish Foundation, but sadly, George Bush had lost a daughter named Robin when she was not quite 3 years old, I believe, to leukemia. So he heard my brother's story, and the Make-A-Wish Foundation, Make-A-Wish Hudson Valley, did an incredible job. They made it happen. They sent my parents, both of my brothers and I, to DC. We were treated like VIPs, which is how we do everything at Make-A-Wish.
Right.
Big or small, the wish is so incredibly magical and special. And they gave him this opportunity to go to the Oval Office and meet President Bush. And more than that, they gave him hope, strength, and joy. And that spark was ignited in me that day. When I saw the power of a wish and how that sort of compassion and kindness shown to my brother could change not just his trajectory, but the trajectory of our entire family.
Right.
I was hooked.
I love that. And we're going to pause here for a moment. We want to come back. And on the other side, we're going to talk about how Jessica's one story changed the trajectory of her life and that of her family's life as well. And I think you're going to find that pretty inspiring when we come back on the other side of Meet Me in the Middle. Welcome back to Meet Me in the Middle. We're speaking with Jessica Rosh, our new board chair of Make-A-Wish Hudson Valley, celebrating 40 years.
Yes, we are.
And it's so interesting how it parallels almost to the year when you were first introduced to Make-A-Wish through your brother, his incredible story. Let's talk about how that one wish kind of kept reverberating to you in your life and how it got you to make a career change? As you were facing midlife, you were having a little bit of a, I don't want to say an ethical crisis, but you were thinking more about how can I lead, use everything that I know, but do it in a slightly different way. You wanted to make a change that it was like it was sowing the seeds for the second half of your life.
Absolutely. I think all of my experiences culminated in the change in career that I pursued. And I know it started with that spark of the wish. So as I said, when I was practicing law and then I slowed down in law to raise my children and practice part-time, I always found myself looking for meaning in a way that I was getting at Make-A-Wish with my volunteering, but I also wanted to make a difference in a meaningful way professionally. So I kept asking questions about, so the law permits and prohibits us to do X or Y, but what should we do? I kept asking all the shoulds, and lawyers would keep saying to me, what we should do and what we legally can do are two different things. And I kept getting stuck on that should, right? So that took me to thinking about, in addition to law, philosophy and ethics. And when I was in college, I was fortunate to learn from Professor Elie Wiesel, who taught me to never, ever turn away from suffering.
That is incredible.
It was incredible. So it is really this tapestry of all my life experiences that came together to put me in this position now where I am professionally and as board chair of Make-A-Wish Hudson Valley. And Professor Wiesel was certainly instrumental in, as he used to say, think higher and feel deeper. And so I hit a phase in my life where it was time to think higher, think as you initially described, on a much higher ethical plane, and feel deeper, use that compassion and that empathy that was shown to my family all those years ago to make a difference. So talk about making changes midlife and opportunities that present themselves. After asking all those shoulds for many, many years, about 9 or so years ago, I decided to go back to school, which I loved. A lot of people thought I was a little bit nutty for doing it, but I went back to school and I have
a lot of friends who have done it, who've gone back.
It's so rewarding. And if you have, I'm grateful to have the opportunity to be able to do it.
Right.
And if you do have that opportunity, I really believe in lifelong learning because I'm not the same learner that I was when I was in my 20s or in my teens even. And as an adult with all this life experience, I found bioethics and medical ethics. And so I went back to school and I got a master's and I got a doctorate of professional studies in bioethics after that. And I just completed that fairly recently. And I'm currently teaching medical ethics at a medical school, New York Medical College. And I'm so grateful for those experiences. And so
you
all
must
of this
drive home from work with just feeling rewarded. I just keep thinking of gratitude, but I want to find a deeper expression of
meaning.
that.
It is gratitude. And I'm grateful for my professional journey and I'm grateful for my journey with Make-A-Wish and being board chair of Make-A-Wish and volunteering for, as you said, 20 years and 10 years almost on the board. And these years as chair of the board, it has been the most incredible and meaningful experience. Everybody always says, what you guys do for everybody is so wonderful. And I think it's sort of selfish because we get so much in return.
Yes.
I once had a wish father say to me on a wish that his child's illness was so traumatizing and so understandably difficult for all of them, particularly his child.
I hear the emotion in your voice.
And he said to me, I want to use this experience to make myself better, not bitter.
Oh.
And, I always say our wish kids are the most incredible part of what we do.
Right.
We get to meet the bravest, most courageous, most incredible kids. And believe me, I dig deep when I need to dig deep and focus on those kids. Anytime I face a challenge in life, I think about their courage and their bravery of what they go through at such a young age. And, it helps. They guide me. So
somebody's listening, somebody's watching this and saying, okay, Jessica, you're just a Wonder Woman. You have 4 degrees. You are teaching. You've had this incredible legal career. You devote your time to Make-A-Wish as the board chair. I can't do this. What do you say to that person?
So the answer is everybody has enough time to be kind. everybody has enough time to show compassion to other people, even if it's in a small moment. So the way we view it at Make-A-Wish is people can give their time, their talent, or their treasure to Make-A-Wish. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. It doesn't have to be all at once, and you can do it incrementally. When I had young kids and I was, during my career at different points, I didn't have the time to give in the same way that I do now.
Right.
That's a gift as I've gotten older, to have a little bit more of that time. To those who want to make an impact on our Wish kids and their families, we're currently in what we call our season of wishes here at the end of the year. And there are ways, you can go online to hudson.wish.org and find a way to just come to an event, which is a very small time commitment, or volunteer, or support us by donating, or support us by partnering with us at an event. And I promise you, if you make the choice to give, think of something small, 1 hour of your time every once in a while, you'll start stepping in what I call the Make-A-Wish quicksand. And it feels really good to know that you're making a difference for kids.
I mean, we're showing a series of pictures and videos from events and from wishes that have been granted. And to go through all of this as I was prepping for this, it just warmed my heart, inspired me, made me think I'm not doing enough in the world and I need to do more. And
well, we'd love to have you at Make-A-Wish Hudson Valley. Check out hudson.wish.org and you can find all the opportunities to help us out, become part of our Wish family.
And I love the fact that even in your own family, that this has had such a multi-generational impact.
Absolutely.
From your parents and your brothers to you to now your girls.
Mm-hmm.
They're all a part of it. I mean, it's truly
Nieces,
a family affair.
Nephews, cousins, sisters-in-law, brothers. We pull everybody in.
I do think that everybody in their soul has a desire to do and to give and to make a difference for people, right? And to find their higher selves. And sometimes it's just hard when we're struggling to do all of the basics in life, right? Like pay the bills and keep a roof over our head and
just live,
hustle around and take care of our children and our parents, right? Especially in middle ages, we're squeezed between taking care of our parents oftentimes and taking care of our children and our own health, right? And so to see somebody like you as a role model offer us an easy path for being able to check that human box.
Well, just take the pressure off. You can do it all. You can't do it all at the same time. It's just the way that I've learned in my life throughout, my family, my career, my time with Make-A-Wish. Don't put unrealistic expectations on yourself. As I said, do something small. We have... I'm
going to pause you right there. That's a beautiful thing, to start with something small. And it can make huge difference and huge changes in people's lives. We're going to take another break. And when we come back on the other side, we'll talk about more opportunities for you to get involved, ways that you can make a change so that you can feel this and share your own beautiful life when we come back on Meet Me in the Middle. Welcome back to Meet Me in the Middle. We are talking with the terrific board chair of Make-A-Wish Hudson Valley, Jessica Rosh. Thanks for being with us today. We so appreciate you and we appreciate all of your work. I was going through some of the statistics about Make-A-Wish and was really taken by the hard numbers. And there are two things. 87% of children who have their wish granted say that it was a turning point in their treatment. And 8 out of 10 kids say that their wish helped them overcome, and this broke my heart, hopelessness, loneliness, and depression. And those are such big feelings.
Powerful.
For these little kids, and to think that this is what they're having to walk in while they're facing their illness, not to mention their families, their parents, in all of this. This is truly meaningful work. And I know you're not only the board chair, but you help to grant these wishes.
I do.
Talk about how that happens and how you see that.
Okay, so what you're describing is exactly why we do what we do. We have the most incredible staff at Make-A-Wish Hudson Valley. We have over 150 volunteers who help us grant wishes, and I'm so fortunate to be the chair of an incredibly dedicated and devoted board that makes this all happen. So we are 100% donor-driven, 100%. We have approximately 150 wishes in our pipeline right now. And the average cost of a wish is about $10,000. So it takes a lot of work to get this all done. But as you can see with that data, it's meaningful and it matters. And I can tell you from my own family's personal experience, but also as a wish granter, the very, very best part of being a part of Make-A-Wish Hudson Valley is meeting the Wish kids and meeting their families and sitting with them and saying, dream big, you have control right now. These kids and their families feel out of control.
Sure.
And so what we do is make sure that the child who is determining their wish gets an opportunity to really dig deep and find their heartfelt true wish. Do they want to travel somewhere? Do they want to meet someone? Do they need something for their home, a room redecoration or a puppy perhaps? We have an incredible partnership with Disney. We have seen the most magical things happen to kids on their wishes. And you're right, that data is clear. We don't just give people an incredible experience. We give them lasting memories and the hope
and change the trajectory of their
meaningful,
treatment.
Transformative experiences for these kids.
We were talking about how 87% say it was the turning point in their illness, but you have data that shows that that's happening. We were talking about emergency room visits.
Yeah, so there's data. Make-A-Wish has been incredible in doing the research and really trying to understand the impact and the power of a wish. We talk a lot about the power of a wish, but there's clinical data of improved health outcomes.
They make fewer visits to the emergency room after having that wish granted.
That data has been reported.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that, think about this. These kids who are going about life, right, just like any other kid, and then boom, something happens, or perhaps they've been sick for many, many years. We find them when they're facing this life-threatening illness. And as I said, everything feels out of control.
Sure.
And every day is another doctor's visit or surgery or a spinal tap or an infusion or something.
That's painful, taking them away from their friends, their routine.
Their family. I mean, we all know with COVID how disruptive that was to our families. This is what our families deal with all the time. And so we come in and we give them something else to look forward to, something to put on their calendar that's different, that they have full control over. And once we ignite that spark in these kids and they take off, as I said, we have the most incredible staff at the Wish House and volunteers, and they're off and running, and they make every single experience. Every one of these 150 wishes in our pipeline, we're gonna provide lasting memories.
I think about the things that oftentimes we get involved in, and one of your wish children wanted to have his own run. He wanted to create a run where the community could come together and fundraise, and he raised $20,000. So he took his wish and turned it into a giving experience. I, for a long time, was involved with Leukemia Lymphoma Society, rode 100-mile bike rides in order to raise money. And, there are so many ways that we can tap into ourselves, whether it's digging deep through a physical experience like that, being part of a community run, having to train. And it gives us so much more than we ever give to it.
Absolutely.
And you can give to groups like those in LLS, Leukemia Lymphoma Society. Here with Make-A-Wish, you are literally changing the trajectory of a child's life. And I think about your family. Your older brother becoming an oncologist. I don't know if that was his life path. You becoming a bioethicist and teaching our next generation of ethical learners. I don't know if that was going to be your life path. It's just incredible to see how these can be so transformative.
And what you describe, it's so important to understand that what we do at Make-A-Wish Hudson Valley, those dollars raised and all of that energy and effort given by our volunteers stays local in the Hudson Valley. These are kids in our community.
And so for people watching in other communities, they can also give to their local Make-A-Wish and change a life in their community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's an incredible organization. And I'm just so incredibly grateful to be a part of it. And as you keep saying that it's so wonderful that we have this opportunity to do this, but I keep telling you, I get so much in return.
Right.
And when people are compassionate, they benefit the person to whom they're being compassionate, but they also benefit themselves.
And you have given us the gift today, showing us our higher selves, what is possible. It can start with one small step, one small donation. and truly make a difference. Jessica Rosh, we thank you for being here
Thank
with us.
you.
On
And
Meet
I
Me
want-
in the Middle,
thank
showing
you.
us the way. And we, of course, are thankful to you, the viewer. Make sure you drop your comments below. Let us know who you want to hear from, what you want to talk about as we continue to meet you in the middle.